One of the biggest changes for the 2025 show this year is the bridge that's actually going to run between the Venetian and Caesars Forum, which is the convention center trade floor where we host the other half of our show.
We are literally building bridges at RE Plus this year, y'all.
I'll just note, no matter what's going on in Washington, our numbers are still up. We expect tens of thousands of people from all over the world to show up at this show. And there's going to be tons of tools from digital kiosks to the RE Plus app to good old-fashioned maps and arrows to get you from where you are to where you need to go.
Yeah, nothing has changed about the fact that the U.S. is still a hot solar and clean energy market, right? I mean, there's going to be so many businesses that want to sell into the market and launch new products, and we're going to see a ton of that this year. And I know I've seen some interesting startup competitors in the Startup Alley area. So there's going to be some exciting new stuff there. So I'm excited that there'll be a more contiguous exhibit experience because there's so many corners of the trade show floor that people need to check out.
Yeah, and I think especially this year because of, the changes at the federal level, I think there's going to be a lot of that reflected in different business models, different technologies. I remember last year I got to see a bunch of different sort of new technologies hit the floor. I saw a solar canopy that might go on a back patio. I know we've seen a lot of like solar fencing and
sheep. Don't forget about the sheep.
Agrivoltaics. You love to see it. I hope the agrivoltaics make it again this year. That was fun. But yeah, I mean those innovations just keep happening everywhere, and I think especially as the market goes through additional changes, we're just going to continue to see people find niches within the industry to develop new products, whether that's for customers, whether that's for utilities. I think we see that at RE Plus every year, and this is going to be even more so an opportunity to sort of scope out a little bit more where the industry is headed.
Yeah.
Right. So this show is where the work really gets done, right? New deals, learning about new technologies, and the best advice we can give conference goers is to make a plan.
Yep.
Make sure you study the maps, make sure you figure out your schedule so that you can maximize your time, not just from a meeting perspective, but know where the bathrooms are, know how the quickest way to get from your hotel room to the show floor. And there's lots of tools and tricks available for doing that.
Yeah, there's a new tool this year for those of you who might be engaging in the education content. There's sort of a concierge platform where you can kind of enter in some details about the kinds of things you're trying to learn about or some of the topics that you're most interested in, and it can help you kind of map out a schedule of some of the different sessions and places to be that are relevant to that area. So in the wide sea of content and sessions and exhibitors, I think RE Plus is continuing to try and find ways to sort of help you map your plan, because it is like if you don't go in with a plan, you'll get a lot out of it, but you could get so much more if you plan in advance and come up with sort of your own unique version of RE Plus. So.
Yeah, I think no matter what, you're going to do like 40,000 steps, or you're going to get your steps in for sure. Yeah. And if you have a plan, you can actually minimize that a little more effectively. Right. So whether that's with the RE Plus Connect app, that has been my saving grace the last couple of years. Is you just favorite the sessions you want to go to, whether that's education, whether that's the areas of the show floor you're looking to get to, and then it will put together like your schedule for you, and then following the maps and getting across the Sky Bridge and stuff like that, and ends up being a little bit easier, and you have a little more energy at the end of the day to network and do all the other pieces. But again, that plan is maybe most important.
Totally.
And I think it's worth actually, Colin, if you spent just 30 seconds talking about the programming side, because people come to the show to get work done, to do deals, but what does the education portion of the show look like?
Yeah, I mean, there are, I think, somewhere north of 70 sort of sessions in the program itself, and then that doesn't even include all the show floor education and side events and sort of side conferences that happen throughout. So, literally hundreds of opportunities to learn. And we've got all the sort of experts on tax implications from what's going on with HR1. We've got tons of partners and stakeholders from other industries and groups that are advocating at the state level and national level. There's an intense focus, I think, on some of those like market barriers, setting aside, the policy environments that we're all very familiar with. There's a lot of conversation about, transmission and interconnection and those more tactical pieces of the puzzle when thinking about project design. There's also some really fun sessions, I think, around like, productive complaining. There's a session about sort of the financing trends and having sort of a bit of a discussion about the things that are nagging at us from a financing standpoint. There's just a lot. There's a lot to take in, and we were looking at the program a couple weeks ago after the passage of the bill and sort of making sure that it still felt relevant in this sort of new landscape for the industry. And luckily the answer is that it really does. I mean, everything that we still want to talk about, there's still a lot of work to be done on permitting. There's still a lot of work to be done on interconnection. Like I said, all of that is there. So I think if for folks who are looking to both understand what the landscape is, in the wake of HR1, and also how to focus their efforts and like where to spend their time, now that we have a little bit more energy to spend on other things, there's a lot to take in.
And how do you break that up between market segments? Sort of like, obviously there's going to be a lot. I mean, you talk about permitting, that's going to affect the resi market, that's going to affect the utility scale market. Yeah. Like, how do you break that up when you're putting together the education sessions?
First of all, I'll say that there are like lots of tags and stuff on the programming side. So if you're interested in one segment or another, you should definitely check out sort of the tags so that you can find the sessions that are going to be most relevant to where you're situated. I mean, I'll give a hat tip to the core committee that we convene once a year to put these programs together. It's I think it's 50 or 60 individuals from around the industry who collaborate once a year, spend multiple days kind of hashing out what the top priorities are, how to move the ball forward on some of these conversations, so that we're not just doing the same session every year. And there's huge representation from the resi market, from the community solar market, from the utility scale side, from manufacturers, from EPCs, et cetera. And then there's the sort of the whole universe of folks outside of the industry, whether it's the national labs or, advocacy groups, folks like SEIA, obviously our partners at SEPA as well. So there's like everyone who has sort of a voice in creating, interesting conversations is in the room to plan out some of the top priorities. So there's a good mix of weedy politics, policy stuff. There's a lot of really interesting technical, project design, system engineering topics. It really runs the gamut, and huge hats off to the folks who planned it, and then the hundreds and hundreds of people who'll be showing up to speak and lend their expertise.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
So practically, planning to go to Las Vegas, keep in mind a couple of very simple things. Drink lots of water. It's super hot. It's Vegas in September. Yeah. Wear comfortable shoes. Remember to plan what you're going to wear when you're inside of the convention center, but it's freezing cold, and when you go outside for dinner, which is scorching hot. So plan your outfits accordingly. Download the RE Plus app. Look for the kiosks. Look for the signage. Look for the bridge. Make sure you participate in the trade show floor and the programming. Look for the RE Plus, the SEIA booth.
And then don't forget to network afterwards. I mean, you can focus all day on the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but then you've got a bunch of time in the evening to build connections, to make deals, to introduce yourself to other folks. And there's, at least as much programming on that second half of the day as there is in the first half. So.
Yeah, and I'll plus one your plug for the SEIA booth too. I'm not going to give away any secrets, but I think there are going to be some fun activities at the SEIA booth this year. So make sure you check that out.
I feel very excited to be able to participate in some of these really cool conversations. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for, I think, a lot of folks in the industry to participate in these conversations. So
yeah, and Seth's been. You may remember Seth from our episode on sort of how to communicate with the digital world that we're in. And Seth's been a huge face of SEIA as we've sort of had all these different conversations about, customer appreciation and just all the different ways in which people experience our industry. And excited to have you sort of officially in the chair to chat with some of the people who are on the ground. And I think it's going to be it's going to be fun. So definitely check out the Good Energy cast and see Seth in his prime.
Big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. I'll just do my best.